and I'm the teen adult librarian here at McCullough.
And I'm Rachel. I'm an experienced navigator over at Oakland.
All right, and today we are here for Anime Foodies. So we are going to make a recipe that you may have seen featured in some of your favorite anime. So today's recipe is called Onigiri. It's a snack food that's really popular in Japan. It's basically just like a little rice ball that's shaped into a triangle and wrapped in seaweed. And that makes it portable, a little portable snack. And then can be filled with different things like pickled plums, meat, fish. For today's recipe, we're going to be doing a spicy tuna filling. So we've got our tuna here. We're going to make the filling with some mayo, sriracha, rice vinegar, and green onions. So if you're doing this recipe at home, you will need 1.5 cups of sushi rice. And this is a brand that you can find in pretty much every single grocery store, Walmart, Schnucks. It's this brand right here. And you've got to make sure that it says sushi rice because it is a specific rice that you do need to use for this recipe. And I've already got my rice cooked, so if you want to pause the video, go make your rice, and then come back to join us for the assembly, feel free to do so. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So Rachel, if you don't mind, we're going to take our tuna and empty it into our mixing bowl here. Get that. Yeah. And we're going to need 1.5 tablespoons of mayo. So this is my 1/2 tablespoon. These are my own measuring cups, so a lot of them are worn off, but I know what they are. And then after that, we're going to go ahead and add our sriracha and just a teaspoon of that. If you want a little more, you certainly can because it's pretty spicy. But a teaspoon usually just gives it just enough. All right, and then we'll do a teaspoon of sriracha. My sriracha is almost empty, so hopefully we'll get a teaspoon out of it. There we go. Maybe. Perfect. And then we are going to use 1/2 teaspoon of rice vinegar. So that's going to make it nice and tart.
Let's see if I can do this without spilling it. Okay.
Perfect.
There we go.
If you want to go ahead and mix that up, I'll start slicing up our green onions. So you'll need 1 green onion, so 1 little stalk of it, and we're going to use the green parts only, so from about right here. And when we're cutting and using the knife, we're going to make sure we hold it in our dominant hand really securely, and with our other hand, we're going to kind of bear claw it just to keep it away from the knife, so that way you don't accidentally cut any fingertips. So I'll go ahead and cut off this part, and we're going to slice up our greens. And if your knife is a little dull, sometimes it's kind of hard to cut the green onions. They'll like all kind of stick together. So what you can do is you can slice and then just kind of do like a little lifting and tearing motion. And that'll help cut it a little better. Especially if you're working with a dull knife like I am right now. All right. So now we've got our green onions. We'll add those in. You want to go ahead and give it a quick stir. And then before we start forming our rice, we're going to take 2 sheets of the seaweed or nori, and we're going to slice it into thirds. Without tearing it. It's pretty brittle. And that way we'll just get some nice wrappers. This recipe will make about 4 to 6 onigiri, depending on how much filling you put in there. So now we've got our little wrappers. All right, so now we're getting ready to start our assembly. So we're gonna take a 1/2 cup scoop, lay it in our palms, and then put some filling in and then form it. And to make sure it doesn't stick to us, if you're at home, you'll probably be doing this with bare hands, but we're wearing gloves today just because we're handling the food so much. So we're gonna get our hands wet. So go ahead and dip your hands in the bowl. And then we're gonna take some kosher salt and just sprinkle it on our palms and rub it around, and that'll keep the rice from sticking to us. Hopefully it'll work with gloves. We're about to find out. All right, so you'll take about a half cup of rice, and you want the rice to be warm, so it's still pliable. You don't want it to cool down completely, but you do want to let it cool down a little bit so that you're not burning yourself. And then you're going to take about a tablespoon of filling and just put it right in the middle there. Get a green onion in there. Oh, I'm making a mess. And then you're going to form it into a little ball to cover all of the filling, and you may need to use another little pinch of rice to do that. And then you're going to kind of manipulate it into a triangle shape using your fingertips at the top to make a point.
Okay, I definitely need more rice. There we go.
And then you have kind of a little triangle. It definitely takes a lot of practice. If you ever look at the anime, like they're always, perfectly formed, but
Mine is not. Mine looks more like a snowball. It's fine. Edible either way.
exactly. And the final step is to just take it in your sheet of nori and wrap it up. And now it's like just a little portable wrapper for your snack.
There we go.
All right, so that is how it is done. And make sure you stick around after the video. Rachel is going to talk about some of her favorite manga. She's going to share that with us. Thank you so much for joining us. You can check out our other videos at EVP Library on YouTube or at evpl.org. Tastes like sushi.
It does. Assassination Classroom by Yusei Matsui follows Kunikigaoka Junior High Class 3E. Class 3E is where students are sent if they've had academic or behavioral issues, and they're kind of known as the reject class. You don't want to go to Class 3E. And this year something interesting is happening whenever the government decides to task the students with assassinating their new teacher. 1 year ago, he blew up the moon, and now he's set out to blow up the world. The students have 1 year's time to learn assassination and kill their teacher. He is a unique individual with many powers, including a speed of Mach 20. So not only do they have to learn regular assassination, they have to apply this to a super being, and also learn their normal studies. So while he is planning to blow up the earth in 1 year's time, he does care about his students, as you'll learn and see. He does try to improve their lives and their studies as much as he can as they try to kill him. It's very fun. It's surprisingly heartwarming. It's an interesting ride, and I definitely recommend it. In Children of the Whales by Abby Umeda, you meet the citizens of the Mud Whale, an island floating on an endless sea of sand. The main character is Chikuro, their archivist. He wants to make sure that in the future no one has questions about where they come from. He wants to make sure that his stories live on, and they will know more in the future about the time he lived than what they know now about the past, because they don't really understand where they came from. He is also one of the marked. He's a magic wielder and therefore cursed to live a short life, as it will drain him as he uses his magic. One day, as they are floating along in their sea of sand, they meet another island. And when they go scouting and just searching for anything that they can take for themselves to use, they were not expecting to find another person, as they thought they were alone. This starts a journey of learning more about themselves and kind of being able to unearth some of those stories from the past that Chikuro is dying to know about. It's a very beautifully illustrated manga and deals a lot with interpersonal relationships and things. And it's very fun. It's very heartfelt, and you can't ignore this beautiful cover.